If this were fiction, you might not believe it. A group of America's wealthiest businessmen, including names tied to J.P. Morgan, DuPont, and even the Bush family, allegedly tried to stage a military coup against the President of the United States. The year was 1933. The target was Franklin D. Roosevelt, and the man who stopped it was a retired Marine general. This is the business plot. A conspiracy too real for Hollywood and too forgotten for history books. The Great Depression had shattered America's economy. Banks had collapsed. Unemployment was soaring. People were hungry, desperate, and angry. Into that chaos stepped a new president, Franklin Delano Roosevelt. He promised a New Deal, programs to put people back to work, regulate banks, and make the economy fairer. But not everyone liked that plan. To Wall Street elites and industrial tycoons, FDR looked like a threat. They saw him as a traitor to his class, someone who might destroy capitalism to save the country. Behind closed doors, a group of powerful men began discussing a bold idea. If Roosevelt wouldn't stop the New Deal, they would stop Roosevelt. According to testimony given before Congress, the plan went like this. A group of wealthy financiers would create a veterans organization, supposedly to support returning World War I soldiers. But that group would secretly become an armed force, 500,000 men strong. Their goal? March on Washington, intimidate FDR, and install a fascist-style government with a puppet leader under their control. And they had a candidate in mind, Major General Smedley Butler, one of the most decorated Marines in U.S. history. But there was a problem. Smedley Butler wasn't the kind of general who could be bought. When two men, bond salesman Gerald McGuire and his associate, approached Butler with the plan, he played along. He listened, took notes, asked questions. Then he went to Congress. In 1934, Butler testified before the McCormack-Dickstein Committee, the congressional body investigating Nazi propaganda and subversive activity in the U.S. under oath. Butler revealed everything he'd been told. He named names. He described the plan. He explained how these men thought America needed a dictator, someone to keep the radicals in check and protect big business. It was explosive. But then, nothing happened. The committee confirmed Butler's story was credible. They even mentioned that certain persons had made an attempt to establish a fascist organization in this country. But the press barely covered it. No one was prosecuted, and the government quietly let it fade from memory. Why? Because the men allegedly involved were too powerful. They included executives linked to J.P. Morgan Bank, DuPont Remington Arms, and even Prescott Bush, father of future President George H.W. Bush. Taking them down would have shaken the foundations of American capitalism at a time when the economy was already collapsing. So the story was buried. Smedley Butler, however, refused to stay silent. He gave speeches warning the public. He said, "I was supposed to lead an army of 500,000 men in a march on Washington. They wanted me to take over the functions of government." But he also said something else, something even more haunting. He said, "War is a racket." By then, Butler had turned against the military-industrial complex. He believed that U.S. wars weren't fought for freedom, but for profit, to protect bankers, to secure business interests abroad, to crush uprisings at home. He saw the business plot as just another racket, a way for elites to protect their wealth while pretending to save the country. And for trying to expose it, he was mostly ignored. To this day, no one has ever been formally charged in connection with the business plot. Most history textbooks don't mention it. Few Americans have heard of it. But declassified documents, congressional records, and Butler's own words are all real. Even the U.S. National Archives acknowledges the incident as credible, just not fully investigated. So what do we make of it? Was it a failed plot? A test run? A bluff? Or was it proof that even in a democracy, the ultra-wealthy will go to dangerous lengths to keep power? What's clear is this. In 1933, during America's darkest economic hour, some of its most powerful men plotted against democracy and nearly got away with it. And if not for one general who chose his country over his class, we might be telling a very different story today.